I wasn't muted. My microphone wasn't on. So we're here to talk about the principles of programming the human mind. And I'm very glad to have all of you here. It's not a new chair. That's the old chair. I'm glad to have all of you here. We're glad to be here tonight to talk with you and to share with you some principles of programming the human mind. Greetings to you in Osaka. And we tend to have a definitely, predominantly, almost exclusively bad idea of programming the human mind. We think about MK Ultra, we think about Tavistock, we think about brainwashing. We totally, completely think about programming the human mind, just like 7P is right now, in a completely negative point of view. When in fact, programming the human mind is not at all a completely malevolent idea. In fact, all good parents and all successful players of this game of life do indeed program their children's minds or program their own minds. So the programming of the human mind is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, it can be bad. And what I want to look at is how programming is done, how you can recognize that programming is being applied to you, and we might even get to how you can, with great effectiveness, program yourself for greater efficiency in whichever area you decide. Think about yourself. Think about your life. You walk into your house and your child, your friend, your spouse, your sibling looks very sad. They look like they're off. They look like things aren't going well for them. What do? You walk up to them, you say, "What's wrong? What happened? What are you thinking? What's going on?" And then think about if you're in a counseling session. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your marriage. Tell me about your children. Tell me about what you eat, what you drink, what type of medications do you take? When you go to the doctor's office, where does it hurt? How does it feel? Does it hurt all the time? Does it hurt some of the time? Or think about you sitting down at a bar, or you're sitting anywhere and you see a person that you're attracted to. Hi there. What's your name? What do you do? Are you from town or are you visiting? Do you have a boyfriend? Are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? Would you like to, could I buy you a drink? What are you doing? You're interrogating. You are interrogating. You are asking questions. Come on over to Tampa, Sterling. You're asking questions. You are gathering information to be used later in dealings with that person. These are interrogations. And anything that begins with interrogation to gain information that's going to be used afterwards is, like it or not, believe it or not, programming of the human mind. That's how you begin to program somebody's human mind. You ask them questions, you get information, and you use that information for later use. Now, a lot of times you're getting it to try to help. In the case of your child, your spouse, your mate, your coworker, what's wrong? How can I help? What can I do? When your doctor's asking you, where does it hurt? How does it hurt? How long does it hurt? He's trying to help you. She's trying to help you. When you go to the mechanic and they ask you, what's it sound like? When does it make that noise? How is it, what's going on here? What's going on there? They're interrogating you. They're gaining information to be used later. Now, in those situations, they're using it for a beneficial thought, like you go sit down in Jen's chair. What do you want me to do? Do you want it to be short? Do you want it to be long? Well, what color red do you want it to be? How long do you want it to be? How short do you want it to be? All that stuff. When you sit down or when you're trying to pick up on somebody. Now, somebody could say you're trying to use that for malevolent purposes. If you're just trying to get laid, that could be true, or it could not be true, depending upon how you folks feel about one another. But generally speaking, if you're trying to, get a relationship or arrange a mutually beneficial physical interaction, well, that's really not bad. So every time you start asking someone questions to get information to use later, you're interrogating them. And that's the beginning of the programming of a human mind. Now, it can be helpful or it can be manipulative. What really matters are the motives. What are the motives of the person asking you questions? What are your motives in asking someone questions? Now, the one thing that we almost would universally agree is not a good use of this type of human programming would be the programming of the human mind would be in a sales environment. A sales environment. You go into a car lot, you go into a furniture store, wherever you go. And what happens? They start asking you questions, right? It's called discovery in the sales model. Discovery. How you doing? Are you here alone? Married, single? What kind of work do you do? Who's going to decide which car you're going to buy, which couch you're going to buy? Are you making that decision alone or somebody helping you out? They start asking you questions. They're trying to qualify you. They're trying to get information from you to be used later. Now, depending upon the salesperson or the sales environment, this could be manipulative or this could still be beneficial. Not all sales environments and sales interactions are predatory. If you have a salesperson that asks you questions and uses those questions later, but uses them in a way of aligning the product that they have or service that they have available that meets with your needs and your budget and your desires and your timeline, then really they're doing you a service. However, if they take the information that you've given them and try to use it later to get you to buy something more expensive than you need, more extravagant than you need, or something that you just plain out don't need, well, then that can be, of course, manipulative. So sales, the programming of a human mind in sales can be good or bad. It can be both or either. What really matters is the motivation. Are they trying to help you or are you trying to help them? And then even many times in the cases of human relationships, we think we're trying to help people, but we're not because our idea of love is skewed. Real love is this. Real love is wanting the best for the other person, regardless of how it affects you. If I am in a romantic relationship with someone, it's been a long time, years and years, and I really want the best for them, I will want the best for them, even if the best for them leads them away from me or leads them in ways that are not particularly aligned with my desires. So to really love is to want the best for the other person, regardless of how it happens to you. And in sales, a good salesperson, a true salesperson is going to say, look, they're going to ask you those questions, and they're going to use that information to direct you towards a product that really will work for you. And I remember my granddaddy used to say to me, Jeffrey, anybody can sell somebody once. Be the person that can sell them over and over. In other words, do them right. And they'll keep doing business with you. With your kids, if they think that you're manipulating them, they're not going to continue to listen to you. And it's the same in spirituality. It's the same in this game that we call life. We're always programming human minds, and somebody's always trying to program our human mind. It's just that way. That's just the way it is. Now, programming of the human mind can be good. It can be not so good. It can have your good in mind, and it cannot have your good in mind. So what you really have to look down at and get down to is, are these people, or are you, when you engage in programming human minds or having yours programmed, are you using your powers for good, or are you using your powers for evil? Are they using your powers for good, their powers for good on you, or are they using their powers for evil on you? Rocky Stucci in the house, one of my favorite brothers, Rocky Stucci of the Rocky Stucci Show on Streaming Talk Radio, I believe it is. So if you want to watch a good show, if you like a straight up political talk, Rocky Stucci is your man. So the powers of good or evil, the way it always works when you are either having your mind programmed or attempting to program someone else's mind, it always starts, if someone knows what they're doing, with questions, and even better with open-ended questions. Instead of, what's your favorite color? Hey, brother, it would be, instead of asking a closed question is a yes or no question. An open question is a question that can't be answered with yes or no. And skillful people, those that are trying to help you, and sometimes skillful people that are trying to manipulate you, will ask you open-ended questions. And that's how you know that the programming process has been initiated. You still don't know if it's positive programming or negative programming, but you know the programming process has been initiated when you start hearing the open-ended questions. Well, what do you want this product or service to do for you? How do you see this product or service fitting into your business, life, etc.? Open-ended questions. How do you think you'd be using this? Who do you think you'd be using this with? Open-ended questions. And then once they get the open-ended questions, they'll begin to, it's called boxing you. They'll begin to box you because they'll begin to narrow things down. And typically those that are good, those that are skillful, and again, you don't know if it's positive or negative at this point, those that are skillful will begin to start giving you alternate choice questions. Okay. Do you think that you'd like it in red or blue? Do you think you would want the 4-door or the 2-door? Do you think you need 2 weeks or 1 week? Starting to narrow you down, right? And then once they understand by going through open-ended questions, and you think about on the dating, hey, are you single? Yeah, I'm single. And then you go and say, oh, well, are you divorced? Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, what happened? What went wrong? There's an open-ended question. And they start narrowing you down. It's just like any sales situation. So you're asking open-ended questions of people. What happened? Why do you feel so bad? Oh, what did they say? What did they do? Did they hit you? Was it at school? Did you tell anyone? So you've gone from open-ended down to close-ended. They're boxing you. Heidi Vandenberg, channel 27, subscribe. Rocky Stucci channel, subscribe. Nice to see you, Heidi. Nice to see you, Rocky. Now, do you like Chinese food? So they're getting ready to ask you out. They're getting ready to find out about, offering you a product or offering you a service, or you're getting ready to help your kid out, or your friend, your neighbor, your spouse. So the real key moment is here. They've done their discovery, open-ended questions. They've begun to box you by alternate choice questions. And they've got you narrowed down, funneled down to the decision. They know what you want. They know what you need. They know if you can afford it. They know how you're going to use it. And they're thinking, what do I have that fits them? Or you know he's single. You know he's got a good job. You know that he's not a psychopath. Heidi says all this can be solved with astrological charts. That's true. So all you have to do is learn astrology and carry your phone around with you and pull up the charts. But then you still won't be able to do it as well as Heidi does it. But at any rate, they've got the information. They've got you boxed. That's the terminology. So now we begin to decide, or you've got them boxed. Or you've got them boxed. You can do it with palmistry as well. Or you've got them boxed. You know what's going on. So here's the point of where it becomes, whether it's for good or it's for evil, whether it's benevolent or whether it's malevolent. Are they going to lead or are they going to drive? That's the key point. This is where you know that it's been that these people are for your good. They're using their powers for good, or they're using their powers for evil. See, that's it. That's Heidi's discovery. What time were you born? What city were you born in? What time of day was it? See, that's Heidi's discovery. And then you've given them their information, they've given you their information, you know everything about it. This is where you've got to decide, or they've got to decide, and where you can decide how it's being used, the information, whether you're using it or they're using it. Are you leading someone towards something that you know from the information you've gained is for their betterment? Are you leading them towards something you know from the information you've gained that is best for them? Or do you think that this person has listened to you and they are leading and guiding you towards something that, because they've listened, it aligns with what you told them? They're programming you either way. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's not okay. So if this person has listened to you and they're showing you things that, oh yeah, I told him I liked red, so he's showing me red. I told him I wanted the 2-door. He's showing me the 2-door. Let's do it, Heidi. I told him that I could spend X amount. He's showing me something that's in that range. If he's good, little bit out of the range, but same thing. And it's making sense. Or if you told him you wanted red and you're looking at a blue car. I told this girl I wanted a red car and she showed me a blue car. Why? Well, there's probably because there's a contest and whoever sells that blue car gets a big incentive. Or that blue car, they've got a lot less money in it. So if he sells you or she sells you that blue car, their commission's going to be a lot bigger. So if you told them red, if you told them I've been to the beach, if you told them red, if you told them 2-door and you're looking at something that's blue and 4-door, then you know they haven't listened to you and you know you're being driven. Okay, Heidi, sounds good. You know you're being driven, you're not being led. And if you hear somebody say things to you and you like, let's go back to the dating scenario. They're not divorced. They're not even separated. They're just mad at their spouse, but they're lonely and they're drunk and you're trying to set up a deal anyway. You don't have their best in mind. So you're using the programming of the human mind for a ill means. You're trying to put your will and your intention over theirs. So that's how you can know. They're always going to start with open-ended questions, and so are you. They're always going to narrow it down or box you in with alternate choice questions. And then they're always going to show you the ultimate, would you like this one or that one? And then they're going to close you. Well, did you want to pay in full or do you want to put down 10%? Okay, somebody please block Zen enzyme. Block. Thank you. All righty. So that's how you know. And then if someone is leading you, you know if you're being led. And there's nothing wrong with being led. That's why you go to, if you need a car, you go to a car lot because you want a car. You want a car, you need a car. And if you have a talented salesperson that makes it easy and smooth for you to get a car that you want and a price you want, there's nothing wrong with that programming. But if you get someone that's trying to put you into something that is not good for you, then that is bad. Like Rocky says, we're living in a world where we're saturated by programming. Stepping out of that paradigm is heroic. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Some programming you have to be in, like the sales process. Nothing happens anywhere in this world until somebody sells somebody something, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would advise you, if you go through that process and as soon as you know that you're being driven instead of led, leave. Go somewhere else and find a better salesperson that is going to work with you and not try to work against you. That's going to try to get you into what you need instead of trying to get you into what pays the most commission. And guess what? When you find that salesperson that works with you, what are you going to do? You're going to purchase and continue to purchase from them, and you're going to tell your friends and neighbors about them. So be the guy, be the gal that can sell somebody more than once because you're doing the right thing. And when you get information from someone, and you've got someone narrowed down and you know what they need, let's take it to the new age. There's a lot of people in the new age that will create dependency. Well, I'll do a reading for you today, and I want you to come back next week and 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 next week. My belief is that whatever you do within spirituality, if you can't teach somebody to do it for themselves within 6 months, you should quit and start selling cars because you're not that good and you're developing and you're breeding a dependency. Now, you might have a type of a spiritual technology where someone needs to come back for a tune-up every month or two, every couple of months, every 3 months. That makes perfect sense. That's fine. But if you can't get somebody to where it sounds just exactly like a chiropractor. Chiropractors are famous for trying to bring you back every week for the rest of your life. So are psychologists. So are palm readers, card readers, astrologers. Not Heidi Vandenberg, not Jenny Moonstone, not me, but there are a lot of people just that way. So again, you have to understand, doctors, same way. You have to understand who you're dealing with. And the minute you feel like you're being driven, leave. When someone shows you who they are, please believe them. Now, that's about programming. Like Rocky said, we need to step outside of programming. We need to step outside of programming as much as we can. We got to be involved in sales processes. I've given you a cheat sheet to know how you can be involved with the correct sales process. Now, there's programming going on all day long. Programming from the media, programming from television, radio, programming from your bosses in your workplace. There's programming, and they're constantly totally programming you. And you're definitely being driven most of the time. If you don't like where you work, if you don't like what you do, if you don't enjoy what you do, if you don't enjoy the people you're doing it with, you're probably being driven. So can I suggest to you that you're always going to be subject to programming? But what if you were religious programming? Perfect example. But what if you decided that you were going to, since you're going to be subject to programming, what if you decided to program yourself? What if I decided to program myself? What if I decided what I really wanted? And what if I decided how to get there? And I began to program myself on how to do it. Like Wayne Steiger was saying last night, he really needed to bring $10 into his life. So he taped a picture of a $10 bill on his bathroom mirror. And he talked about, I'm going to bring in this $10. I'm going to bring in this $10. He programmed himself to bring in $10. And you know what? It worked. So your mind is susceptible to programming. Understand that it's susceptible to programming. Realize that programming is taking place in your life, and realize and recognize to work with those that are using the programming of the human mind to your benefit and not to your detriment. And then, you say your Jedi mind tricks won't work on Jeff. I actually like it when I'm in a sales scenario and I realize that a salesperson, she's doing the open-ended questions. And then I like it when she starts narrowing me down with closed-end questions. And then I like it when she directs me to something that I told her I needed, and I like it when she closes me. I like to be closed. Close me early and often. ABC, always be closing. I know what you do, and I'm appreciative of your skill, and I'm probably going to buy something from you. But Rocky says, what would our society be like if our minds were not stimulated or had direct on thought? Would there be chaos? I don't understand your question, Rocky. What would society be like if our minds were not? I can't understand what I think the spell check got you. I don't really understand exactly what you're talking about. So, but I mean, he asked, what would happen to the most of people if they weren't led, guided, and directed? What would happen to most people if they weren't programmed? They'd probably wander around in circles until their cell phone batteries died. So unfortunately, there are a lot of sheep in this world, and a lot of those sheep do need to be programmed. They do need to be programmed. And hopefully it's going to be benevolent programming. But the point here is, now that we've transitioned a little bit, why not program yourself? Why not start your day with some affirmations? That's programming your mind. Let's say that you want to lose some weight. Say that today I'm going to, we'll start with the morning. I'm going to get myself in perfect shape. 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 Give yourself 5 or 6 or 7 affirmations. Or, I'm a strong, powerful individual. And tonight, when you go to sleep, begin to program yourself. But as you go to bed, if you want to lose some weight, just say, you got your eyes closed, you're all snuggled up because you're going to go to sleep. How can I get myself into better physical condition? What can I do to get myself in a better physical? What can I do to get myself? What can I do to get myself in a better physical condition? Ask yourself. I asked myself 11 times. Ask yourself a few times. What can I do to get myself in a better physical condition? And you might even imagine yourself in that better physical condition. You know that pair of pants you took out of the closet that you can't fit in? Imagine yourself for 2 or 3 minutes before you go to bed fitting into those pants. They look good. They feel good. You're strutting. It's all good. See yourself in that perfect job. See yourself in the powerful individual that you are. I would disagree with you, C.C. Williams. I think it starts with baby steps. But if you say, how do I get myself? I'm going to get myself into better shape. And then you go to McDonald's and have hotcakes and sausage and anything from McDonald's and 3 Danishes. And then you go buy, Dunkin' Donuts. It's not going to work. Rocky, how can we both do that? I would start a country with Rocky Stucci. I really would. I know how Rocky thinks. I think Rocky World would be a really good country. Rocktopia. Stucchivania. I would be in on that. I would be in on that. So just think about it. And it's easy to think of all the reasons why it won't work. Anybody can think about the reasons why it won't work. Be the guy, be the gal that can think about reasons why it will work. Be the person that's not afraid to do something that everybody else says, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And if you really want to supercharge your life, go watch my video on EFT and learn how to break up the nodes within your energetic net onto which those destructive habits have attached. And maybe even an entity or two, I don't know. Procrastination is a big hurdle for me. Here's a perfect example. Mac, my buddy Mac. Procrastination is a big hurdle for me. Mac should go to that emotional freedom technique. Mac should go to that EFT video and say, even though I have a terrible procrastination habit, I totally and completely accept myself. Even though I have a terrible procrastination problem, I totally and completely accept myself. Even though I have a terrible what the hell did he have? Procrastination problem, I totally and completely accept myself. Even though I have a terrible procrastination problem, I totally and completely, even though I have a terrible procrastination problem, even though I have a terrible procrastination, even though I have a terrible procrastination, do that 3 times a day for 21 days and you won't have a procrastination problem anymore. Dude, I'm all for spiritual upselling. Take control of your own life. Somebody's going to program you. If not you, who? If not now, when? When? This just hit me. If I'm in a Christian church, even though I feel like there's something wrong with this doctrine, I totally and completely accept myself. Even though I can't seem to agree with this communion thing, I totally and completely accept myself. Even though I don't understand why they got a dead guy on a stick hanging in the front, I totally and completely accept myself. Even though I don't know why this card reader wants me coming back every single week and giving her $50, I totally and completely accept myself. Go through that whole thing. Brother, sister, programming. The world is in the programming business, and cousin, business is a booming. So the question is, are you going to be programmed or are you going to be programming? Programming yourself. I don't want to. That's a lot of work. Well, I hope you like what you got, 7P, because that's what you're going to get. I don't recommend you slap yourself in the face unless you like that kind of thing. Unless you like that kind of thing. Now, C.C. Williams, who's a very smart guy, said, you can't talk your way out of something your behaviors do. You can tap your way out of something out of behaviors. I have done EFT so long that my head was sore and my eyes are killing me and it felt like somebody punched me in the face. But you know what? It works. It works. Some people do prefer to remain programmed, as Veltman says, because it's easy. It's easy when you're programmed. Sit back, kick back, and just relax. Do what you're told. Do what you're told. Do what you're told. You know, comedy doesn't always come through on the chat, so I'm just responding to EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, but it's way beyond emotions. Anything. Spirituality. Hey. Spirituality, physicality, anything. So that's just a basic primer on the principles of programming the human mind and how to program your human mind and how to understand and recognize when programming is being applied to you. That should help you. That should be informative to you. That should help you in your day-to-day life. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the organs being mind, storing memories, good and bad? I don't think it's the mind, but that's just me. I think it's within your reactive mind. I don't think it's in your kidneys or in your toes or in your heart or your lungs. But at the same time, Tanhawk Group, those energetic meridians run throughout your body, so it can feel like that procrastination's in my pancreas. It can feel that way because maybe it's on that node there. Feels like that overeating's in my kidney. Could be that's where that energetic area that it's lodged in. Feels like that porn addiction's in my parietal lobe. Might be. Healthy gut, healthy mind. That's very true. Or you can just pray for healing and 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 pray for healing. And guess what? You can keep praying for healing. You can pray in one hand, you can EFT in the other one. See which one fills up first. Coming from a guy that was 20 years as a Pentecostal evangelist, prayed at least an hour every day of his life. I'll guarantee you one thing. Praying is the opiate for the masses. I'm showing you stuff that works. You can keep praying if you want. But I'm trying to show you something that really works. Sorry if that bugs you. My job is to give you something that works. And I used to teach praying for 20 years, and now I'm teaching this. Why? Because I decided to start teaching stuff that works and not teaching stuff that don't work. Because I decided that doing it the way everybody said to do it isn't as important as doing it the way that works. But that's just me. And I know sometimes I got a jerky way of putting things across, and I'm sorry. But Jonathan seems like a very intelligent individual, probably smarter than me, so he knows what's going on. Prayer, and here's the reason why, Jonathan. Prayer takes you out of the power position and makes you subjective. If you're praying to someone or something, then you're dependent upon that person or thing to do for you. But the Christ said, you got this, the kingdom of heaven's in you. So if the kingdom of heaven's in me, then that means I can, it's right here. Like Captain Kirk said in Star Trek V, we'll close with this. McCoy, Spock standing there looking at the view screen in what we now know was 10 forward, looking at the God planet. Captain Kirk walks up. Cosmic thoughts, gentlemen. And Spock says, we're speculating, Captain. McCoy says, is God really out there? One of the great lines of movie time, Captain Kirk looks at them both and he says, maybe God's right here. Human heart. Bam! Captain Kirk. Breaking it down for you. Whoever knew that Kirk preached Christ. Everything you needed to learn about life, you learned by watching Star Trek. Jeff, what are your thoughts on meditating to empty our minds of thoughts? Boom. For God's sakes, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a brick mason. Yeah, that's the beginning of wisdom is an empty mind. A stilled mind. A stilled mind. So there you go, folks. Looks like I'm going to be going over to Heidi Vandenberg's channel, taking my rods and going to Heidi's channel. Sounds like an extravaganza. So head on over to channel 27. In a few minutes, brainwashing and mind control are separate topics that can indeed confuse many. And since many of you were wondering, I can confirm now from personal experience that Veltman is a real person. Yes, indeed. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, your friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower, harmless little fuzzball, here trying to break a little truth out on you, but you have to decide, is the world crazy or are you? Figure that out. Get back to me, and we'll talk about how to unindoctrinate yourself. Guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. Try that and see how it works for you. But here's where it all starts, folks. It all starts when you stay fearless, my friends. See you on Heidi Vandenberg, channel 27. This ends this transmission.